you guys. Go ahead, Joy. My biggest problem was teaching the volunteers not to help too much. They wanted to hold the children on the horse, you know, do everything for them. And they got pretty good at letting the child almost fall off the horse. I mean, if you do it for them, they never get their own balance. But the volunteers came along very well, I thought.
The first few times, for example, I worked with Cheryl and two of the girls, and they were intimidated. They didn't know how to react to her. They couldn't talk out loud, and I tried to give them the opportunity to tell Cheryl, who can't see, to feel where the neck is, to feel where the legs are, and they couldn't say that to her. They mumbled to themselves and they giggled, and by today they were doing it. They were talking to Cheryl, they were talking to Shane, they were telling them things. They understood what they had to do, and they understood what the rider had to do, and they became more assertive, and I'd say that everybody learned a lot.
We teach them balance mainly, to stay on the horse and to learn how to ride them and stuff.
Jenny, she's really good at, you know, learning and stuff like that, and she has really good balance, and she focuses and stuff like that, so she learns a lot. She was sort of scared of it a little tiny bit, but she sort of, you know, petted it the first time, but she thought, you know, she just didn't want to touch it, but she could, and she, after like a couple seconds or something, then she found out that the horse wasn't really dangerous.
It's a jet horse.
Cheryl is the one I've worked with the most, and she is almost completely blind, but her other senses are quite alive. She hears everything going on. Her sense of balance is wonderful, and she appreciates the animal. She loves the animal. She likes feeling the warmth. She likes brushing the horse. I think for Cheryl, the most exciting thing she's done before is gone for a ride on a jet plane. And so when she's riding Malka, she gets a tremendous grin on her face, and she's going, "This is my jet horse. You better believe it." And that is why I do it, because it makes her so happy, and I know that she is learning a lot and enjoying herself at the same time. Shane is the other boy I worked with. The first time he wouldn't get out of the van. The second time he came over to the horse, he wouldn't look at the horse. He didn't want to be 5 feet from the horse. He barely touched the horse. The third time we got him on the horse, and we took a few steps, and he just bailed out. And today, he was riding, and he was smiling. And even though it was still hard to get him on the horse, and he can't communicate, he can't talk, he did tell the horse to walk in his own way, and he just burst into the biggest grin, and we were trotting, and he was balancing himself, where before he could barely stand up on his own 2 feet. And today we were trotting, going quite fast, and he just did it himself. And when it came time to leave, he had his arms around the horse, and he was hugging her and feeling her warm neck, because his hands were quite cold, and he didn't want to leave.
For all those in the Special Horses for Special Kids program, the shared moments with their new friends is a rewarding experience.
They're just being out in the community with the other kids of 4-H and belonging to a group. They can walk down the street and they see these kids and they say, "There's my friend John or Jim," and it's not a handicapped person. They're learning the horses' names and they're talking about them. It's a discussion that they can talk to other normal people with.
The thing I saw mostly in the kids was a new area of their lives that they'd never experienced before, helping somebody who needed help. Teaching and sharing the thing that they liked, their horse, with somebody who didn't have one and who didn't know how to work with one.
Yeah, want to hug him? Come on, give him a big hug. Give him a big hug.
Go.
Good.
These are just 5 of our favorite rain country stories since the first program was broadcast in October of 1985. There are many other rain country stories that document the places and activities and the people of Southeast. And perhaps it's the people that illustrate best the special nature of this 300-mile long, 100-mile wide chunk of mountain, island, and sea that we call home. And here are just a few of our neighbors and friends that really are the best of rain country.
We're about 20 miles away from town, from Juneau, and you have to come out by float plane, which is what we usually do, and or boat. And it's just the 3 of us and a dog, and we live out here year-round.
Well, a lot of people say how great this would be, but they're usually here on sunny summer days. Like I tell everybody, I invite them to come back to spend the weekend in December or January, and then they can base their opinions on that.
Well, we got married in July, and in August we came out. And this has been our honeymoon ever since.
All over the world they come here to see these bears on these cruise ships. And I have never had any complaint that they didn't get their money's worth. I don't charge them anything. They don't cost them anything yet to come here and see these bears. No, I go into town, I see the problems that people have living in town here. It's nice to be out here where it's quiet. Bears, furniture, no really bad neighbors. We get along well together. The deer, and then I have all the company that I need. I don't have to go to town to see them. They come see me.
Nobody can find us because they call the telephone company through Ketchikan, and they say they've never heard of IDER. And then somebody will say, oh, I think they're on British Columbia phone. So they'll call British Columbia, and they'll say, Alaska? This is Canada, sir, sorry. So nobody, up until this very last phone book that just come out this spring, we were unknown totally to Alaska as far as the telephone books go. But now we have our own little page, even with the area code of 604 instead of 907.
They told me, that it's stupid staying in here. You don't have a radio. You shouldn't be here with your 2 kids. And they suggested I come out and stay in Atlin. Well, if I was in Atlin, it'd just be like being in any city, and I wanted to be completely isolated, have a miserable time in the wilderness, so I didn't like it anymore, And I'd gone in for 2 months and loved it. I'd gone in for 3 months and loved it. This time I was going in for 6 months with all the disadvantages, the whole family, the animal, everything, just not yourself, and I was going to have a miserable experience and then shut up, the rest of my life. I figured, well, I'll tell you, it was heaven.
I mean, when you've been working hard inside all winter and maybe really hard and cutting a lot of firewood and so forth, and you know that spring is coming and you're going to be outside and you're going to be in amazing, beautiful places, camping out maybe almost all summer, that's a really good thing.
I'm very lucky in my writing. I have friends who are writers, and one of them advised me to send my typescript to his agent to find a publisher for it. He said every writer should have an agent because the agents know which publishers take what kind of writing. And so I did that. And one day my mother telephoned to me and said, you've got a letter from those people, shall I open it? She always referred to my agent as those people. And I said, of course, and so she read it, and it said that William Morrow and Company had bought my book.
The Highlanders were the first one to engrave, and they learned that from the Chinese, the imported Chinese in those days, and my people traded with them in order to learn the same process to engrave. So as a result, when gold coins were around and also silver coins were around, they have converted many of those into Northwest jewelry.
He said, oh, we couldn't let a lady
lift 45 pounds. And I said, sir, do you realize that a lady lifts her children 5, 6, or 7 years old who weigh 45, 50 pounds? Do you realize that a lady who is a nurse also can lift 200, 300 pounds, and that a lady in the kitchen shifts 100 pounds of flour from one part of the... Okay, he kind of settled down because he had to think of something else to say.
My favorite saying is that everyone is handicapped in one way or the other. We're just more handicapped in... Some people are just more handicapped, more severely handicapped than others. And that because you are more severely handicapped doesn't mean that you have to stop living. It just means that you have to do it in a different direction and just enjoy life as much as you can to the best of your ability.
I would say that being honest and keeping your promises and returning your library book and making your life a part of the earth, that we're more or less all responsible for the beauty around us by the way we look at things and the way we see things.
It's a good life. I wouldn't trade it for the city again. I like the Sound. I like Southeast. We got a lot of good people out here in the Sound. We all get along. A person's got to do what they like, what they want to do, you know. But I believe I'd do it all over again.
And all through school, I was always an artist. I always drew on my math papers, and you know that I was going to be an artist. And when I was in 6th grade, I will never forget it. At the beginning of the year, the teacher would ask us, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" And I stood up. Well, I was real proud. I said, "I'm going to be an artist." He said, "Artists don't make beans for a living." And boy, that just crushed me. But at the same time, made me mad and made me just, I said, I'm going to be an artist. They couldn't change my mind.
I was watching a movie when I was a kid called The Black Tanker. It had Tyrone Power and gosh, who was Humphrey Bogart was the chief engineer and Tyrone Power was the captain. They were getting in this argument over one of those speaking tubes. The captain wanted to go faster, and the chief engineer was telling the machinery couldn't go any faster. So the captain came down the engine room, and they got in this big fist fight, and Humphrey Bogart stuffed the captain into the bilges. I thought, well, I think I'd rather be an engineer.
I'm not going to stop doing goofy things. You know, I mean, this is a childhood dream, and it's just going to keep going. You know, I got other dreams. Might make a steam-powered airplane. Who knows? It's been done. In the 30s, a guy built one. It was so quiet, he said he could talk to people down on the ground while he flew over.
Oh, well, I drifted away on a steam-powered airplane. Went in the state and I damn near didn't come back again. I didn't go very fast on a steam-powered airplane. Oh, the wheel went around and up and down and inside and then back again.
And those are our selections of the best of Rain Country. We'd like to offer a special thanks to you, the viewer, for your support and for your frequent kind words. We'd also like to encourage you to watch the names of the many people involved in this program when the credits come by, because Randy Burton, Skip Gray, and I would like to offer them our special thanks. It's through their work and your support that Rain Country is possible. I'm Scott Foster. Have a good day.